Around 2010 to 2012, I was really into a show called Regular Show. It aired on Cartoon Network and was part of what I considered one of the last good eras of the program. Around that time, I felt like Adventure Time, Regular Show, and The Amazing World of Gumball were really the big three shows that were carrying Cartoon Network. You know, when I was younger, it was pretty sad to slowly see some of my favorite cartoons get aired less and less. Not being able to see shows like Chowder, Flapjack, and K&D really got me sad, but you know, these three were able to fill the void. But to me, my favorite out of those three was Regular Show. Don't get me wrong, I liked the other shows, but Regular Show was just a bit different. It was a little edgier, especially in the earlier seasons.
I'm helping. I'm holding the hose. Look, I'm taking a giant leak.
It was about two slackers who worked at a park and the crazy stuff that happened to them. And the humor in Regular Show just clicked with me. I mean, as a kid, I found myself chuckling at Adventure Time every once in a while. And I don't think my parents even thought I enjoyed watching Gumball because I always had a straight face while watching it. Regular Show was one of those shows where I would actually laugh. Not like a little chuckle or anything, like really laugh. And I still love Regular Show. Look at my name on Discord, MortoGuy_36. My status, don't piss me off. My about me, don't piss me off. Sadly, I didn't get to see this whole era of Cartoon Network to the very end. Around the beginning of 2014, I stopped watching Cartoon Network. Before, my family could just watch any program on TV. And then one day, when I went to the Cartoon Network channel, we suddenly had to pay extra to watch Cartoon Network. And the Food Channel, that's a heartbreaker. My family weren't gonna do that, so no more Cartoon Network for me. Or Nickelodeon, or Disney Channel. Like, Nickelodeon was my backup for Cartoon Network, especially when they did that live action stuff, but now my backup required extra pay, and my backup for my backup needed extra pay too. And do not mention Disney XD. So you can tell I liked Regular Show, but before I stopped watching Cartoon Network, I saw some trailers for a game called Regular Show, Mordecai and Rigby in 8-Bit Land. And I had to get this game. I already liked the show enough, and now it's getting a game? How could I not? And the best part was that it was for the 3DS, so I could play this game anywhere. But little did I know that this game would not be what I expected. This game ruined my life, man. Okay, maybe not that far, but I hate this game. I had such high hopes, and in the first 10 minutes of playing this game, I wanted to drop it. I was a kid who unironically liked Shadow the Hedgehog, and I just wanted to put this game down and not play it. Okay, let's not do this anymore. Let's talk about the game. It's pretty hard to even talk about the story for the game because there's almost nothing to talk about. Benson tells Mordecai and Rigby to mow the lawn or they're fired. But shortly after, the two find a package in front of the park house for them, containing a game console and a game called Best Game Ever. Also, whether this was intentional or not, this thing looks a lot like the Atari Jaguar to me. Is that just me? Anyways, the moment Mordecai turns on the power, the two are now sucked into 8-Bit Land. And that's all there is to it. When I was younger, I had some problems with this cutscene. And even now, I still have the same problems. There's only two cutscenes in this game, one at the start and one at the end of the game. The story's simple, fine, whatever. I feel like this cutscene would have been so much better if there was some type of voice acting or if it was animated or something. This entire cutscene looks like something that I could have edited together. And that's a bad thing because I suck. Seeing how there's only two cutscenes in this game, I feel like those two cutscenes need to be top-notch. And this isn't. Let's just move on to the game already. This is an action platformer where you can swap between Mordecai and Rigby. You can run, you can jump on enemies to take them out, you know, the basic stuff. Mordecai and Rigby both have their own strengths and weaknesses, and you'll need to swap between them to progress through the levels. Mordecai is able to do a double jump, but is taller than Rigby, so he can't go through tight areas. On the other hand, Rigby can't do a double jump, but is smaller, allowing him to go through those areas. This leads to some really interesting level design. I can't be nice here. This leads to some terrible level design, especially these things. They're everywhere and they just never get any better. What the hell is this, a maze? And the level design later on only gets worse and worse. But I'm only scratching the surface. Enemies in this game, especially the humans and the bosses, have some of the smallest hitboxes I've ever seen in a platformer. You need to be precise when you jump on these enemies. Mordecai was my character of choice because of this reason. Not because he had a double jump and could reposition better in the air, but because he had a double jump, he could dodge every enemy. I hated playing as Rigby. You had to in order to progress through certain areas, but with how the enemies are in this game, it's just better to avoid them with Mordecai, because one small misstep is sending you back to the start of the level. Wanna know why? Because you die in one hit without a power-up. Bad level design, broken hitboxes, plus only being able to be hit once leads to super slow and bad gameplay. Your best option is to slowly walk through every level and dodge all enemies as best as you can. There's a run button, yeah sure, but use it with caution, because remember, you still die in one hit, so you still have to be careful of everything that might kill you. Okay, you know, how about I talk about something else besides the gameplay? Let's talk about the graphics, because I do have some positive things to say. You know, when I was younger, I thought this game looked great, and honestly, I still do, to an extent. The sprites are very good, and there are some pretty nice references to the show. The Hammer, the Summertime Lovin' Guy, the Death Kwon Do guys, and the Snails from Dig Champs, which is a game that Mordecai and Rigby play in the show. Mordecai and Rigby, after getting the power up for Death Kwon Do, also look pretty good too, with Mordecai using the Death Punch as a projectile, and Rigby using his laser pointer. But the problem is just looking at the levels. The levels themselves look so boring and bland. In fact, this first level is the best looking one to me, because after this, it's just gray on brown and this space background thing. It's just not nice to look at. Regardless of everything else I might say, I still really like the look of this game. But seeing how I just recently played Fire Emblem for a video, this game isn't even 8-bit. You see that? That's 8-bit. But I'm just being nitpicky now, aren't I? Well, after you beat the Destroyer of Worlds, Mordecai now unlocks a new power-up: turning into a spaceship. Mordecai can now turn into a spaceship in these areas that look like, well, space. I mean, it doesn't sound bad. You can move around, shoot, charge up a shot Mega Man style, but there's a huge problem with this, and I want to show you what I mean. Okay, so here's some gameplay of a spaceship shooter called Ikaruga. Very good game. I love this game. And now compare that to this. If you haven't noticed, the main difference here is space. There's space to move in Ikaruga. What's a spaceship shooter without space to move in? It's this. And since you die in one hit, it makes things much harder. All the enemies are so close to you. It's hard to get through these levels without singling out an enemy and taking them down one at a time. Honestly, the best part about these levels is getting the power up and being able to get through them much faster. You know what? Scratch that. The best part about these levels is getting back to the platforming so you can jump over everything as Mordecai. And the boss fight is garbage. Remember how I talked about how small the hitboxes are in this game? This is possibly the best example that I could ever give. How did Mordecai not land on a single head there? In fact, I went through this guy's head multiple times. I must have been like a pixel off. That is a tiny hitbox. Beating the geese grants Rigby his very own power-up, which is a top-down shooter mode when he's in front of these gray areas. Now, these are much more enjoyable than the platforming and the spaceship shooting. There are points where I question, why did they do this? Because there are some parts where it feels like it really isn't my fault, but the game's fault. This is probably the best world though, because you get to fight the Hammer, a boss who can only be damaged by furniture, just like in the show. It's a short but fun boss fight. And one more thing, you remember how I mentioned that the enemy hitboxes were really small? I'm starting to think that they're just broken. You're telling me this guy isn't getting hit? There are bullets going through his eyeballs and he's not getting hit? Now onto the final world of the game, and it's just not good. It also doesn't help that this happened to me right at the start of the world. You know what? The hitboxes are broken. End of story. So in World 1, it was all about platforming and getting used to switching between Mordecai and Rigby. World 2 was all about spaceship shooting. World 3 was about the top-down shooter. And in the final world, they all come together. Every level is going to have you swap between the different forms to progress. It's not even the fact that the level design is just as bad as the other worlds. It's mainly the fact that the enemy placement here is extra bad. I feel like a lot of these spots are just cheap ways to get kills on the player. And if you get a power-up here, make sure you hang on to it. I learned the hard way that you need to play this world slowly. You need to go centimeter by centimeter to clear everything. That power-up gives you a ranged attack for platforming and a buff to everything else. But that power-up is a glorified shield. I could care less for the attack boost that it brings, but being able to take one more hit with enemy placement and level design like this, yeah, I would trade in the extra attack buffs for 2 extra hits. It's that bad. The final boss of the game is Garrett Ferguson Jr., the son of Garrett Ferguson, the video game guy from that one episode. If he looks like a certain someone, it's because he's supposed to be a parody of Billy Mitchell, the other video game guy. You'll need to swap between the spaceship form and the top-down shooter form to beat him. And I have to be frank, this boss is horrible. The hitbox on his head seems to work sometimes, and other times it doesn't. But that's not the part I'm talking about. I don't have much footage of this fight because I just try to get this fight over with fast. But look how precise that is. I'm surprised I didn't die there. There's 3 more phases to this fight, but they're not that big of a deal. Garrett Ferguson Jr. calls out his dad to handle the rest. And it's pretty simple. A spaceship shooter, a top-down shooter, and ending it off with jumping on his head. Beating him, the house explodes, and it looks like Mordecai and Rigby get to keep their jobs for another day, despite blowing up the house. They also go back into the house to play the game again, because you know how these guys are. You know how I feel about this game. I don't like it. I don't hate it as much as when I was younger, but I still don't like this game. This game is definitely made for the fans of the show. But there's not much here for the fans anyways. Besides Benson, there are no mentions of any of the part guys anywhere. Even for a fan, it's just disappointing. It sure as hell disappointed me. And to top it off, this game is hard. Like seeing the game over screen multiple times type of hard. But I always felt like this game was difficult for the wrong reasons. Like in Mega Man, when I die, it's because I suck. In this game, when I die, the game sucks. I'm bringing this clip back because what is that? And I want to bring your attention to these. These are VHS tapes, which are collectibles. 3 of them in every stage. I've 100% of the game before when I was younger. But I dislike this game so much that for this recording, look at that. I managed to beat the game while not collecting a single one. Even if I saw one in my face, I made sure to steer clear of it. That's how much I don't like this game. You know, I've been just bashing on this game this entire video, but if there's one thing that I had no complaints about, it was the music. The music in this game was one of the few things that helped me keep pushing through these levels. The music for the final world was really good, and I seriously liked it a lot. Here, have a listen. Like, that's really good, but at the end of the day, I'm still playing a game. And if the game isn't great, the music doesn't mean much to me. It was good to go back and play this game again though. Clearly, I don't like the game. But you know, as strange as it sounds, it was nice to see what my younger self hated, instead of just saying that this game sucked or that it ruined my life. As someone who's played many more games since then, I can go back and look at this game and really say what I liked and what I didn't like. Some people may have actually liked this game. And as I'm starting to say more often now, if you like this game, that's all that really matters. And hey, making this video now has me questioning whether these two shows got the same treatment in the video game department. But maybe I'll save those for another time.